Hi, welcome to episode 6 of DeadEyeDrums, a place where we're all about accuracy and precision from behind the drum set. My name's Kenny, and I'm your host. This week's a little different for DeadEyeDrums. Instead of a lesson, I'm doing a little project. I went out recently to my local music go-round, and I bought what appears to be a 1977 13-inch Ludwig concert tom. It's in the red sparkle finish, and it's a 6-ply shell. As far as I know, maple and poplar. I got some invaluable advice on this project from James at One Up Two Down Drums on Instagram. Jump over there and check out his work. He's great. Any picture he posts of a restoration project, I want to buy the drum. So he was a big help on this. He's a master at what he does. So many thanks to him for helping me along on this. I think it would have taken me a lot longer than it actually did to do the work if he hadn't been there with advice. On the first day, I went and got the drum, and I paid less than $50 for it before tax. I brought it home, took the head off, and I stripped off the hardware, and I threw the Ludwig top bracket away, and then I put the lugs and the tension rods in some WD-40. And I let the lugs and tension rods soak for 24 hours. Now, I know a lot of people use soap and water to clean chrome parts, but I just have a thing about using water on chrome. I removed the springs inside the lugs and the swivel nut using a pair of pliers. And there actually was a little piece of foam to insulate the spring from the rest of the lug. And it wasn't in great shape, so I went ahead and got rid of the foam and I tore up cotton balls. One cotton ball would do about 3 of those lugs. They're so small. And I put cotton inside the lug, and then I put the swivel nut and the spring back inside to keep it from squeaking. I decided to strip the black paint, and I used citrus strip. And the citrus strip took a few applications. On the first day alone, I applied one layer, and that just kind of loosened things up. But it wasn't until I applied a second layer and let it sit for about 10 minutes that the paint started to come off easily with an old credit card. It came off in clumps, and it was a quick process. I didn't like using the citrus strip because there were fumes, and I had plenty of ventilation in the garage. Even so, the fumes bothered my sinuses, and I don't know, I could just picture cancer cells creeping in. I wasn't a big fan of using that, but I got good results out of it. So that was day 2 and day 3. I spent doing that. On day 3, after a third application of citrus strip, I probably could have gotten the rest of the paint off with more elbow grease, but again, the fumes were getting to me, and the bearing edges were very hard to get the paint off, although I feel like I did an okay job with the bearing edges. Then I used mineral spirits and wiped the inside of the shell and the bearing edges, and used Q-tips to clean out any residue stuck in the lug holes and the vent hole for the badge. On day 3, I spent time with some wood filler and using that to fill in a gouge that was in the bearing edge. And the good thing about a concert tom is I was only working with one bearing edge. I didn't have to worry about 2. But I did have some gouges on the bottom side of the drum that I went ahead and filled in anyway. One, a ply was just barely splintering, and I thought it was such a small splinter that to glue it with wood glue would be more mess than anything, so I just went ahead and went over it with some wood filler to at least hold it in place. And then I filled in a couple of gouges that were on the bottom side with wood filler. One thing that the citrus strip did was it showed me that there was some ply separation on the bottom of the drum, and I used Gorilla wood glue, and then I coated the business card on both sides with the wood glue, got that down in there, and then I clamped it and I let it sit for 24 hours. And it's on the bottom side of the drum again, and there was some glue residue left over, but I didn't sand it because the bond was strong and I didn't want to compromise the bond. And also, since it was the bottom of the drum, I wasn't that concerned about it. One of the things that James recommended was that I use Howard's feed wax to treat the inside of the drum, and I'm very glad I did. Here are pictures of my results with it. It just seemed to bring out some of the wood grain, and maybe it darkened it up a little more on the inside. I used contact cement and a foam brush to fix a lifting seam in the wrap. All it took was some contact cement on both sides of the brush, and for me to gently lift the seam and get the brush down in there all across the seam, and then to clamp it for 24 hours. So that's it for episode 6 of DeadEyeDrums. Hope you enjoyed this video about this little project I did, and maybe it'll inspire you to take on a project of your own. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. And hit the notification bell so that you know when new content's posted. Alright, thanks again. I'll see you next time. I'm going to get back to practicing. Boop, boop, boop.